All right, everybody. So today we are taking a deep dive into Sofia, Bulgaria.
A fantastic city. Definitely one of my favorites in Europe.
Yeah, you've been there, right?
I have been lucky enough to visit Sofia a couple of times.
Yeah, excellent.
Beautiful place.
So I've got this snippet we're looking at called 5 Must-Go Places in Sofia. So obviously perfect for anybody planning a trip there or even just dreaming of a future getaway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this snippet, even though it's short, it's a great starting point for planning a really incredible trip to Sofia.
Totally. And you know what I think is so cool is how it blends these like historical landmarks with the modern energy of a city. Like
Yeah.
it's not just, all ancient ruins or anything like that. It's got a good mix going on.
Sofia really does have this unique blend of old and new.
Right.
Something I always tell people, it's like you can be walking down a street and you'll see ancient Roman ruins right next to a trendy cafe.
Wow, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's really
Yeah.
cool to see how the city has embraced its past while still moving forward.
Love it. Okay, so why don't we jump right into it? Where should we start our Sofia adventure?
Well, I think we have to start with the Boyana Church.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
a UNESCO World Heritage Site for a reason.
Okay. Yeah, and it's funny because when you first say church, people might think, oh, okay, another church.
Right. It's more than just a church.
But this is like next level.
It's home to these incredible frescoes. They date back to the 13th century, and they're really unlike anything you'll see anywhere else.
These aren't your average frescoes, right?
No, not at all. These frescoes are so well preserved. You can see the incredible detail the artists put into the faces, the clothing, everything. It's like taking a step back in time.
Okay, now you've got me picturing myself there.
And they're so expressive, too. You can almost feel the emotion in the way the figures are painted.
Wow. So, okay, tell me a little bit more about like the history of it. Like when was this church built?
Well, the church itself was actually built in stages, starting all the way back in the 10th century.
Wow.
Can you believe
That's
that
in-
10th century?
That's all that
Yeah, but the frescoes we're talking about, those were added later in the 13th century, during a really interesting period in Bulgarian history. It was during the time of the Second Bulgarian Empire.
Okay, now are there any like specific frescoes that people like really shouldn't miss when they're there?
Definitely one of the most famous ones, and for good reason, is the portrait of Sebastocrator Kaloyan and Desislava.
Okay.
It's this incredibly lifelike depiction of this Bulgarian nobleman and his wife.
Wow. And how cool that it's like a husband and wife.
And what's really remarkable is that these portraits, they weren't just idealized versions of what people looked like back then. They were actual realistic representations. You can see individual features, wrinkles even.
Oh, wow. I love that. Okay, so after we've soaked up all that history at Boyana Church, where should we head next?
Well, if you want to stick with the historical theme, we could move on to the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral.
Okay. Yeah, another church, but this one sounds like it's on a whole other scale.
Exactly. This cathedral is massive. It's actually one of the largest Orthodox cathedrals in the world.
Whoa. I had no idea.
And it's absolutely stunning with its gold domes, intricate carvings, and beautiful stained glass windows.
Okay, I have to ask, what's the story behind it? Like, who is Alexander Nevsky?
So Alexander Nevsky was a Russian prince and military hero, and the cathedral was actually built in the early 1900s to honor the Russian soldiers who died during the liberation of Bulgaria from the Ottoman Empire in the 19th century.
Oh, wow. So it's like a tribute to their sacrifice.
Exactly. It was a really significant event in Bulgarian history, and the cathedral stands as a symbol of the gratitude the Bulgarian people felt towards Russia.
That's powerful. Okay, so we've had our fill of history for a bit at least. Let's talk about something a little more modern.
Sounds good to me.
What about this Vitosha Boulevard? That sounds like a good time.
Oh, Vitosha Boulevard. That's the place to be if you want to experience the heart of modern Sofia.
All right, so paint me a picture. What's it like?
Imagine this, you're walking down this pedestrian street lined with beautiful buildings, trendy cafes and shops, selling everything from traditional Bulgarian crafts to high-fashion brands.
Okay, I'm liking the sound of this already.
You can find street performers, musicians, people from all walks of life just enjoying the atmosphere. And there are these gorgeous little side streets that you can just wander down and discover hidden courtyards and cafes.
Okay, so I'm sensing a theme here. Lots of cafes in Sofia.
We can't go to Sofia without experiencing Bulgarian coffee culture. It's definitely a must.
All right, noted. I'll be sure to indulge.
And be sure to try banitsa while you're there. It's this delicious pastry made with phyllo dough and cheese.
Okay, you're speaking my language now, pastries yum.
It's a classic Bulgarian breakfast treat, but you can find it all day long in Sofia.
Awesome. Okay, so we've shopped, we've strolled, we've had our coffee and pastries. I'm ready for some peace and quiet now.
Sounds like we need a trip to the National Palace of Culture.
Okay, now is this like a museum or what are we talking here?
It's actually a really interesting blend of things. It's a cultural center, a park, and even a place to grab a bite to eat, all rolled into one.
Okay, so it's like a multi-purpose kind of place.
Exactly. You'll find art galleries, theaters, a cinema hall, all within this huge complex.
Mm.
But then surrounding the complex are these gorgeous gardens, perfect for just relaxing, taking a walk, or having a picnic lunch.
Oh, that's lovely, especially after a morning of exploring the city.
And you know what's really cool is that the National Palace of Culture often hosts different events,
Oh, cool.
concerts, exhibitions. So it's always worth checking to see what's happening there during your visit.
Yeah, for sure. Good tip. All right, so for our final stop on our Sofia adventure, we have to talk about Vitosha Mountain.
Ah, yes. Saving the best for last,
Right, because who doesn't love a good mountain view?
especially when it's a panoramic view of an entire city.
Exactly. And this snippet says we can get there by hiking or cable car, so we've got options.
Which is great because it makes it accessible to everyone, regardless of your fitness level.
True, true. So what do you recommend, hiking or cable car?
Well, it really depends on your preference and how much time you have. The hike is beautiful, and it's a great way to immerse yourself in nature, but it does take a few hours.
Okay.
The cable car, on the other hand, is a much quicker option, and it offers spectacular views as you ascend the mountain.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, sometimes you just can't beat that cable car view.
Exactly. And either way, once you're at the top, you're rewarded with these breathtaking panoramic views of Sofia.
Mm.
You can see everything from up there, the city sprawled out beneath you, the surrounding mountains. It's truly unforgettable.
Oh, man, that sounds incredible.
It's especially beautiful at sunset
Oh, I bet.
when the city lights start twinkling below.
That is going straight on my Sofia to-do list.
And, you know, it's really easy to get to the mountain from the city center. You can take a taxi, or there are also public buses that run regularly.
Okay, good to know, because transportation is always key when you're traveling.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been amazing. I feel like we've really only just scratched the surface of what Sofia has to offer, though.
Oh, for sure. But I think this snippet gives a great overview of some of the must-see spots.
It really does. And it's got me thinking about, how do you even choose between all these amazing options when planning a trip to Sofia? Like, do you go all in on the history,
That's a great question.
or do you embrace that modern city vibe?
I think it really comes down to your personal interests.
Yeah.
If you're someone who loves history and architecture, then you could easily spend your entire trip exploring the ancient churches and monasteries around Sofia. But if you're more drawn to the energy of a bustling city, then you might want to focus on soaking up the atmosphere in places like Vitosha Boulevard and checking out the city's vibrant nightlife.
Right, or maybe a little bit of both.
Exactly, why not blend the two?
Best of both worlds.
You could spend the morning wandering through ancient ruins and then enjoy a delicious dinner at a trendy restaurant in the evening.
I love it. And you know what? I think that's the beauty of travel in general, right? Like, it's all about finding what speaks to you.
Absolutely, and creating your own unique adventure.
Exactly. So, listeners, as you plan your Sofia adventure, let your curiosity guide you. Explore the ancient streets, discover hidden cafes, immerse yourselves in the local culture, and who knows, maybe you'll even find a new favorite spot that we didn't even get to talk about today.
You know, that's a great point. There's always more to discover, and I think that's what makes Tropico exciting. You can read all the guidebooks and listen to all the podcasts, but ultimately the best discoveries are the ones you make for yourself.
So true. Well said. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Sofia adventure. We'll see you on our next deep dive.
Safe travels, everyone.